KRM Office 5521. Today is 22 July 2021. We will have here the procedure, quite simple to understand. We will observe that sometimes we have particles inside our system. These particles indeed allows the not authorized guest do changes at your system, sometimes modifying your antivirus or setting a VPN or something like this. And of course that to set a VPN or something like this, they must have access or got linked with failures at the provider of communication or doing the violation against the provider. If your area had a provider with problems, it means the entire sector. It's something that you can fight against because it's the entire sector. If it's a conjuncture, it's worst. You can complain with the offender, not suggested. And then we observe that we had the fresh start at the machine and shut all doors. We do not authorize the remote access by the control panel, but we observe that the offender tried to have the update or optimization here at this area in order to set the configuration at your Qualcomm adapt Etheros or something like this as wireless. I think that is an instrument provided by the AT&T. We had many fresh starts of the Windows, 2 Windows as you can observe, to have the comparative collective data by the Microsoft, because when you launch the Windows you have this option to have full collective data by the Microsoft. For sure we did this. And every time the offender tried to have the entrance at this computer, which is my machine number 1 and the machine number 2, we did the optimization as a sequential. 1, A, capital letter, A, small letter. Comparative measurement as integration will allow me to have A, capital letter with A, small letter, and have this observation. These kind of things in the same way sometimes, but for instance, your navigator, which is the Microsoft Edge, and your bank, which has a security to get inside, will identify as Google Chrome. Can observe that we are using the Microsoft, quite clear, quite simple, Edge, new Edge, but is identified as Chrome. So it's a distortion. This was reported before. I do not have the use as Microsoft, despite I had the use as Microsoft and Linux inside my Google account. The Google reported this, and of course that we are just having the proof. The bank is the Bank of Brazil. It's a bank inside which is part of the Brazilian conjuncture that has a lot of problems, and problems linked with the budget. Maybe this bank had problems at this year. I don't know if they have legitimacy to claim something being part of the argument that they will claim, or everybody that create a problem will have a partitor inside to request or claim the solution of the problem created by them. And at this case here, we will observe that the bank is pretty functional. It's offering this support, which is report that the Google Chrome, and I can observe that it's not the Microsoft Edge. So maybe A, capital letter, A, small letter, integration of information and crossing data. I can observe that I have the simulation as use of my browser by the Microsoft Edge, And then we will check another thing, which is my area, which is point here to Tijuca, I would say. I will request to have my place, and the Google will give me this as something like this. My area will change. Didn't change. And then I will put here, I will allow to shut the connection by something that is at the network that I don't know exactly which is the name, but it's here. It's the IPv 6 and 4 that in general is your as the network access that you have in general is 6, and 4 we have 2, but they two both must be under the same provider, which is my place. As you can observe, the cretinismus brasilis, the mental disorder as using the instruments of control to commit crimes. We observe that we have two access lines here as the IPv4 and 6. We could have that I was at the I mean the location as Tijuca. I will shut down the IPv6. Confirm. And then now my place is not available. As you can observe, I request one more time updating the page. You know, it take a little longer because maybe we will have this collected at two areas. You know, one area signed as the IPv4, another area signed as the IPv6, to both, you know, creating distortion and noise at the use of my system, you know, because looks like here is Tijuca. Okay, that's okay. We will, but it's not my area. My area is Alto da Boa Vista. Then I will do another test here, which is I have the network. I will have this situation. I will cut the Wi-Fi. I will uninstall. As you can observe, I cut the driver, because this driver sometimes is installed without my I do not authorize this driver to get installed or replace the driver that comes with my machine. I will have the situation here. I will connect myself one more time. It's connected. Now I will have here open the Google. I will type something which is the bank. Let's see what we will have here now. It's a different area. It's the Alto da Boa Vista with a zip code 170. It's a light pole. When I have the access, I have the access at my home, which has a number. This number is transferred to other number, then it's transferred to this zip code, which is a light pole, and looks like that from here it's redistributed for many areas. I will cut this connection here as the IPv4 in the way we did before. Connected, I cut, and I will request to, you know, update the web page. It's keeping the same thing, request my place, and the machine must give me this. It's take a little bit longer. I will put here only the other area. I didn't receive the update as location. I will shut down the IPv4 and set the IPv6 connection, no access. Now I will have try to update the web page, and then my area is changed. It's Tijuca. This happens because I have two connections. When the router is set from my place, I have the violation, as you can observe here at this machine. At the wireless that is replaced, then I have the request as a program to having the VPN inside my computer, and you are violating maybe the Windows. And you do the access. As you can observe, I have a different profile as location at the same machine at the same time. It means that I'm having a duplicity of connection here. And when I have this machine right now is maybe, with remote access, because when we do a command or something like this, it takes too much time to have the responsiveness of the system. And it means that the system maybe is having multiple users, and this can be confirmed when I have the report as argument by the security instrument of the bank, which give me that I'm using the Google Chrome, and I'm not using the Google Chrome. As you can observe, I'm using the Microsoft Edge. This kind of information, it takes too long, 12 minutes. You must request by our white-collar crime law, and the all arguments by law that we offered to have the compensation. For sure, we have the interest at this research, which this control test is a consequence of the lack of support available. If the offender will receive my complaint, so I have to do this. I'm according with the communication law, and I can have this by the Constitution. All my guarantees are there, including the action at the international area. If this work as research and the white label project that we offer as security, which is a consequence of a huge number of violations suffered by me, by research, my family, whatever, and this will impact maybe by equity at interest at the research. For instance, the economical control, maybe the OECD, maybe the FBI as security, financial security, maybe the Interpol, maybe the NATO at the database Sigma as research. You have the complaint as idea at your machine instead of have this, which you can request information at the local police Rio de Janeiro, considering the federal authorities and all players at the public budget, which is a criminal budget. Unfortunately, this is an evidence and a fact. We will close this presentation here because we have 15 minutes, but you can request this information with local authority as an international requirement to understand how this can be matched at the transnational organized crime, considering, for instance, FinTech frauds at the PIX or at the digital payments, and how this could be used to put a citizen down to change the perception as the target of this research, or the target, the core activity at the security project, as white label project, to have a storage of data updated constantly by the international law enforcement as NATO, Interpol, the FBI, against the transnational organized crime, reporting companies, governments, and others with systematical tolerance and with the continuity of crimes committed from the deep inside of institutions that have the hiring process and do not have the dismissing situation that unfortunately have to live in Brazil. It's qualified at least twice as a janky area, and it's a sad thing, but it's our reality. As you can observe, maybe the bank won't be able to claim something, because it's part of the public budget. But maybe others victimized by the lawfare and abuse as sports entities, or even a global company, since not associated with the problem, can be considered an extended victim of, as observed at this crude and simple presentation, evidencing how the systematical violation of your privacy can impact your system, changing the profile and behavior of your internet and access, installing things at your computer, sometimes of antivirus with VPN, which isn't the profile that you have because you didn't have the installation as VPN, and proved by the security control at the bank or something like this, as using the Google Chrome, but you are using the Microsoft Edge. All this, and the place that we had, we will do this one more time. Let's request the place and observe that now I'm not Tijuca. I will try to switch the place. As you can observe, the machine is full of problems. I will put the area one more time, setting the IPv4. It's connected. I will request to update my location, and then as you can observe, I'm at the area which is the first area that appears before that light pole. As I said, maybe we have this as a next door offender, and the routering of the clandestine access have this zip code as reference, and of course that our authorities that indeed are very close to criminal authorities, by the silence, by the association, by the behavior as institutional behavior that is against the premise as institution, because they think that it's not commit crime, and it doesn't matter if you are a public or corporate, you didn't show up to the globe, to the center to commit crimes, despite the violation evidenced and proved one more time. Because indeed the institutional crime and the institutional misuse of prerogative only will happen inside the institution if you have the continuity of the variables. And then we have the claim as compensation against those institutions. Have a nice weekend.